family destroyed, the exclusive story of the children taken from their loving parents for no good reason.
The obligation of the state, where parents have learning difficulties, is to assist the parents, not simply to remove the children.
Tonight we have the disturbing case of the mum judged to be unsuitable simply because she has learning difficulties. We ask, was it legal, and wouldn't it be better for the children to be with their parents? Good evening. They've done nothing wrong. There's no history of abuse or neglect. So why has a family been split up by the state? ITV News can reveal tonight how a loving couple have had their 2 young children taken away from them. The mother has a mild learning difficulty and social workers have concluded she's incapable of raising her own children. The toddler and baby are now in care, but campaigners argue that all the parents really need is support. And what's more, we've spoken to legal experts today who believe the decision to take away the children may be in breach of the Human Rights Act. Our social affairs correspondent, Helen Wright, has been to meet a family torn apart.
This happy snap hides the heartbreak of a family divided. The son and daughter this couple are cuddling have been taken away. They're now in care. That's why we've had to mask their identity. So why has this family been torn apart? Well, officials fear the mother, who has a mild learning disability, can't multitask as a parent should. She told me they think she's just not clever enough.
I just thought I was slow, really. They sort of want me to be sort of what they want me to be, really. They expect you to be perfect, but I think everyone's the same. They all find it difficult to be a mum.
The father's held down a steady job for 2 decades. The couple have family support, and I've seen that they live in a clean and tidy house, described as a loving home by community workers. They can't understand why their children have been taken away.
Have either of you ever hurt the children?
No.
No.
Have either of you ever neglected your children?
No. Not neglect, not what they say.
Have they ever been harmed in any way while you've been looking after them?
This case may not be an isolated one. Research in English family courts found 15% of care applications involved a parent with a learning difficulty. Such families featured in care proceedings 60 times more than would be expected from their numbers in the population. The study also showed that 75% of children whose parents had a learning difficulty were taken away from the family.
We judge parents with learning difficulties, I think, far harsher than we do the general population. You or I can often make a simple mistake in our child, and indeed we all make those mistakes. You have a learning difficulty, it's seen then as a failure and seen as a reason for removal.
Campaigners recognise that some children need protection, but say nationally parents with learning difficulties require support rather than family separation.
All of us have got limitations. All of us have got things that we can't do. Let's look at what the abilities of these parents are and support those abilities and help them to fulfil their role.
The local authority in this couple's case says it has to rely on the court in possession of all the facts to make the right decision in the best interests of the child. And the courts could decide in a matter of weeks whether the children should be adopted, parting them from their parents forever. Helen Wright, ITV News.
May come as a shock to know that your rights as a parent can be tossed aside without any evidence of your child being abused or neglected.
Our UK editor Tom Bradby looks close up now at who does decide if you're fit to bring up children and how can wronged parents fight back.
It's a visit any parent would dread. You know you've never harmed your children, but the social services come calling because they're worried you're not an adequate parent. There is serious concern tonight that social services in this country may be ignoring very clear advice handed down by the European Court. Judges there ruled on a similar case to the one we're highlighting, involving a German couple who both had learning difficulties.
Learning difficulties of parents in and of itself won't justify removal. In other words, the obligation of the state, where parents have learning difficulties, is to assist the parents, not simply to remove the children. And I'd go back to the point that removal is a very extreme measure. You must have children in some serious difficulty to justify their removal from their family.
Of course, this raises broad questions about what makes a good parent anyway. This week, the case of a mother whose 3 young daughters fell pregnant, the youngest at 12, triggered a new debate. Mandy Masters was born physically disabled as the result of the drug thalidomide. She is not only a successful mother, but grandmother too. She believes the social services are not good at understanding disability.
People always just say, how comes they're so good in supermarkets? How comes they don't run away? I think your children adapt to your disabilities. My children never run away. You know, they were never, couldn't say they were really naughty kids. I mean, they had their moments, but when I was out with them on my own, they knew. And I just think they adapt. Children are brilliant at adapting. It's the older people out there that are just unbelievable.
There's no doubt some children are being abused and the social services have a very difficult job. But there is concern that some may be ignoring the European Court ruling because swift adoption is simpler and cheaper than long-term assistance in the home. Tom Bradby, ITV News.
Well, despite repeated requests to discuss the issues raised by this case, the Children's Minister, Beverly Hughes, refused to be interviewed.